Welcome back. UFC is back again after a 3-week layoff. It's been hell. It's been a nightmare. I'm ready to get stupid. Let's do it. This is my best time of the week. We've got UFC Fight Night. Mackenzie Dern taking on Amanda Ribas. Number 2. We're going to have a great fucking fight night here coming up. I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait to break down these fights in this video for you. We've got a lot coming up too. I'm going to start, I'm just going to break down 311, UFC 311 that's going to be coming up the following week. We're going to have those videos out pretty soon. So we'll have those, and I've definitely got some bets that I want to put in pretty quickly on that. Just to let you guys know where I'm at, I've got a couple bets in on this weekend's fights already. And like I said, I'm ready to get stupid with it. I'm ready to put in some single bets. We're going to be doing a little bit different this year just on how we bet. I'm not going to go crazy on parlays this year. Maybe a little, who knows. But I'm going to try and stay tame. I'm just trying and do a little bit more research and take single bets a lot more this year. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of the parlays. I love them too much. And we're just going to try and be more intelligent with them as we go. And hopefully we will have a rocking year, and we'll do this big. But let's get into this shit. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty amazing fight night. The main event does feature 2 fighters that have fought before, Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas. So we'll see how that one turns out. We will talk about that a little bit later, but let's get right into this first match. We got Joe Solecki stepping in on short notice to take on Nurullo Aliev. I like this matchup a little bit more than the opponent that Aliev had previously, which was Janales Mosh. I kind of saw that matchup being straightforward. If Aliev could take him down and control on the ground and avoid big shots, I thought that he would be able to get that one done. This one is a little bit more interesting because Solecki has had some defeats in his last couple UFC matches, but he also did take on Grant Dawson in one of those, which, yes, he got beaten unanimously. And that's the one that kind of puts it out there for me and makes me, one, you're coming in on short notice, and we're talking like almost, I think about a week and a half. So I don't know what kind of shape you're going to be in. I don't know if you're going to be in fight camp shape. So, I'm sure you're training year round, but, maybe not exactly for a fight. Aliev, I know, has been training for a fight where he was most likely going to have to use his wrestling. I look for him to use his wrestling here. The one pause I have is that he gets caught in like a guillotine. I did watch him in the fight that he had. I'm going to get this name, damn it. Because let's see. The fight that he just had against Rafael Alves, there was a couple times when he easily got the takedown, but he put himself in a bad position as far as possibly having a guillotine delivered. So, that's the one hesitation I have because Solecki is slick on the ground. So the bet is going to be Aliev in this one. I do have him in a parlay. I'll tell you about that one a little bit later. But as of right now, we're going to go Aliev. And the betting line hasn't dropped for this yet. But what I'm going to do on this one, I've gone back through his matchups, and I don't feel like his method for success is going to be a submission in this one, just because I feel like Solecki is talented enough on the ground to not get caught in a submission from Aliev. And I feel like Aliev is going to be one of those ground and pound types. If he gets him on the ground, he's going to try and pound away rather than go for a submission necessarily. I don't think that's really all his game. I know he's definitely got the availability for it, but Solecki's going to be tough to submit. So I'm going to go with Nurullo Aliev, and I'm going to take it in a 2-way. Usually they have these on DraftKings. That's where I'm going to look first. But I'm going to go Aliev to win either by KO or decision in this one. I don't know what the line's going to be yet, but if I can get a line that is tolerable, not past where I feel comfortable taking it. Like, I don't want to really take it if it's minus 400 or which I don't think it'll be that high. But if it's maybe 200 or less, I would probably put that in a parlay myself. Or like I said, I'm not trying to get too far into the parlays. I would love to be able to single bet this. I just don't know what it's going to come out with. And I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to taking Aliev by decision because I think that's that is the method that I see him beating Selecki by, unless Selecki comes in great shape and can get a submission of his own. So there's several different ways to bet this one. I will most likely have another video out detailing some of these bets and giving a little bit more detail into what I'm going to be betting. But I am going to go Aliev in this first one, but we'll move on to the next fight. Next up, we have Victoria Dudakova taking on Fatima Klein. This one breaks down pretty plain and simple to me. When I'm looking back at even going just on the last two matches, and I don't like MMA math, but listen, when it comes to women and women's fighting, I tend to always go with who I feel is the more powerful, better, in most cases, bigger fighter. It's just you notice a lot of times, depending on the game plan in the fights. Now, if we're going wrestler against striker, maybe then, I'm going to lean towards the wrestler to get it done, even if the size is even if the striker is taller. But when it comes to these two, I think Fatima Klein is highly superior to Dudakova on the ground. And when I'm looking at just going back to the last matches, I mean, Dudakova lost to Sam Hughes, which, not saying that's bad, but Sam Hughes is not the highest caliber fighter in this women's division. So going just right before that, you got Jinyu Frey. She's 11-9. Let's get real. I mean, she's lost a lot of decisions. So, winning that match by decision, it is what it is. And then Estela Nunez, I actually think Nunez would have won that fight, but that was an injury right in the beginning of the fight. So you can't get any credit for something like that. I think Nunez actually would have won that fight. And then Maria Silva, okay, 8-0 unanimous decision, but that was the Contender Series. And as we've seen previously, some of the Contender Series fighters are not necessarily up to par when it comes to, beating some of these top-tier UFC fighters. And she did go to decision in that fight. That was probably the most difficult match that she's had, other than her most recent one against Hughes, which she lost. And I don't even know if that was Hughes' best outing there. So Klein, she just went up, and yes, she did lose, but we're talking about Jasmine Jasdavicius. She's a beast in the women's division, and Klein is going to be the bigger fighter. I think she's going to end up dominating on the ground. Wouldn't be surprised if she gets this done by submission. Again, this would be one that maybe, hey, look for the submission or decision, because I do think this one goes over 2.5. So I would probably being more inclined to go with that decision. If I'm wrong and Dudakova does end up impressing more with the striking and Klein's not able to get it to the ground, we may have more of a matchup where it's closer. I still think the Klein will be able to withstand the strikes and won't get submitted herself. So in that realm, I do think the over 2.5 would be safe as well. The only thing that I would fear in that is that Klein is good enough to defeat her on the ground. So I would say Klein by decision or submission in this one as well. But I'm going straightforward Klein, but she's too high up to bet. So straightforward. I probably won't be doing much with this one unless I get a decent line, but I think it's going to be overpriced even to take Klein on that two-way win method right there. So probably going to stay away from this one, but that's my pick. Klein is the pick. Next up in the light heavyweight division, we have Magomed Gadzhiesulov taking on Bruno Lopes. This fight scares me a little bit. I was at first looking at Lopes thinking this is the underdog. This is going to be the guy that I unload the gas tank on, thinking I'm looking at him, looking at his takedown defense is what I'm most concerned with, because listen, the physique and how he looked previously, I don't know. You haven't seen him in a while since the Contender Series. Obviously, nothing is letting me know that he's got a lot of endurance here. Gadzhiesulov, on the other hand, I know that he can take it to decision. I know that he has a good ground takedowns, and he looked good on the feet when he was in the Contender Series match, and he did look good against Ribeiro. And going the distance with Ribeiro makes me think that you can avoid those big punches, because that's what Ribeiro does best is, put your lights out and shit. So I'm thinking that if Lopes can possibly land one, yeah, that's going to be the method for victory. There is going to be Lopes by knockout. But on the other hand, Gedziasulov, I believe, can control this, maybe not getting it to the ground, but I do think, he can control him up against the fence a little bit. The grappling is going to be an issue, and I do think that he can get it to the ground if he wants to. But on the other hand, I think that the speed is going to be a big factor. I think that Gedziasulov is going to have the speed advantage in this one. Lopes is going to throw some loopers. You can always get caught. I mean, we're talking light heavyweights here, so those kind of things matter. But at the end of the day, I've got to go with just what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the tape, and I think it's going to be Gedziasulov that can get this done. I hope that he can. I hope that he can withstand and keep himself out of harm's way, because like I said, Lopes, if he can defend the takedowns and control the pressure and get Gedziasulov on his back foot, it's harder to get takedowns when you're going backwards. And unless he can control and get, good on his shoots, really get in on takedowns, I don't know. I don't know how this one is necessarily going to play out, but just by what I'm seeing, I think Gedziasulov is going to be the better fighter, and I think this fight can definitely go over 1.5. I believe that I saw over 1.5 rounds already on FanDuel, or not FanDuel, but DraftKings. So if you're thinking that this one may go a little bit longer, which I could definitely see it going longer, Gedziasulov, as we know, has gone to decision. Lopes has gone to decision himself. And I think Gedziasulov can avoid the big danger shots and control most of this, either with the grappling or possibly get it to the ground, where I think he's gonna be able to control it, get him tired, and start getting the takedowns in the late second and third round more often than he isn't. So I see Gedziasulov by unanimous decision in this one, but we'll see how that one goes. It's going to be an interesting fight. I think the odds are not too wide. So Gedziasulov, if you feel supremely confident that he can get this done, he is a great parlay piece. I'm considering it. I haven't pulled the trigger on him yet. This might be another one that I look at for a possible decision win, or maybe a knockout. I could see that happening. Lopes has been knocked out previously, so I could see that happening too. And this one takes a big shot, big knee maybe, or something like that. But at the end of the day, going Gedziasulov in this one. Next fight. Coming up next, Ernesta Karashkate taking on Nicole Cagliari. This one, when I started watching the tape, I think she's pretty fucking mean, to be quite honest with you. But then just watching Karashkate, I don't know. The Dione Barbosa fight, taking that to decision. I know that this being your debut coming in, which, as we just talked about with Lopes, that's his debut as well coming in. Anything can happen in that debut, and I know that you're going to be fired up. I'm just wondering if you're going to be able to get past the size and the reach advantage in this one in order to get in on your takedowns, because obviously if you can get it to the ground, you can probably control it on the ground. I'm not going to deny that. I think Ernesta can possibly avoid those takedowns. I think the movement is enough, and she is very athletic, and I just feel like, we're talking 5'9" to 5'3" and a 9-inch reach advantage. That's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough. If Karashkate can keep it at distance, I feel like she can get this done. If Cagliari rushes her and gets it done and is more powerful than I expect, then that might be an interesting matchup. I definitely think that this is a matchup that is going to go the distance. Whoever is going to win this, I feel pretty confident it's going to be won by decision. So I do like the win by decision, but I think it's going to be almost unbettable when I look at the odds. Like I said, they're not putting out these odds just yet. I'm still waiting on some of these to drop, but maybe over 2.5. I feel pretty confident that one might be a good one. But I'm going to pick Ernesta Karashkate in this just because I told you previously when it comes to women's fights, sometimes I will pick who I feel has the, in this case, overwhelming size advantage. I know it doesn't always work out that way. And like I said, this is a perfect recipe for Cagliari to prove me wrong. If she's a stronger wrestler and can get it to the ground, then yeah, this is probably going to go her way by decision. But either way, I think the over 2.5, or if you want to play it a little bit more risky, that win by decision, I think those are good bets in this one. Because these two women don't really look like finishers to me. Even Cagliari, who I think is a good fighter, but Karashkate, I think, is just going to have that size advantage. It's going to be a little bit different when they get in there. So I'm going to go Karashkate in this, but we will move right along because I don't know what I'm going to have just yet in this as far as bets. Next up, we have a welterweight matchup between Preston Parsons and Jacoby Smith. Full disclosure, Jacoby Smith is coming on in short notice. We had Preston Parsons, he was going to be taking on Alexis Gustafsson, I believe was his name. And full disclosure, I was picking Gustafsson in that matchup. And I am picking Jacoby Smith in this matchup for the simple fact I think Jacoby Smith is an animal. Oklahoma State wrestler. He's got the chops there. I was a little skeptical when he came into on the Contender Series, and I know that this is his debut match. He's coming in on short notice, so I do not like those two things. Preston Parsons is a dog, but I think Jacoby Smith can get this done. I think wrestlers are built to have the endurance. I know Preston Parsons is good all around, but to me, it's just not it's not the same. I think you're going to see kind of, even though Preston Parsons is going to be the more experienced fighter and he's fought some top-notch competition, I just don't think this – I think this is another one that's going to be a little bit beyond him. I mean, some of his losses, he's lost to Daniel Rodriguez. No shame there. You lost to punches. Let's see, you beat Evan Elder. That was a close one, though. So that one, I'm not even – that's kind of skeptical there as well. But I mean, that was a unanimous decision, but I don't, Evan's not the greatest fighter in the UFC right now. He lost to Trevin Giles, won against Matthew Simmelsberger, okay, and then your most recent one you lost against Oban Elliott, unanimous decision. Okay, that one's I give you credit for, because I think Oban is a very, very top-notch skilled fighter. But I think Jacoby Smith is going to come in and show us something. Obviously, I'm not going to give Savoy his Contender Series match. His opponent was 10-1, and he did beat him by ground and pound. It was impressive. The win that he got was impressive. Some of his other matches, I'm not going to give you a bunch of credit for that yet, but I liked what I saw when I saw him on the Contender Series. If he can perform that way, then I think he's got a definite chance to get this done. Preston Parsons is going to be a tough opponent, and Preston Parsons, I can see something weird if Jacoby Smith ends up getting it on the ground in the early stages and he can control it, get some ground and pound going. I can see him getting a finish in the first, maybe late first round. But if he doesn't, he wears himself out, and like I said, it's debut match. And he's coming in on short notice. I don't like those two things, but I'm gonna go with Jacoby Smith in this one. We'll talk about him a little bit later as well. But yeah, that's gonna be the pick, Jacoby Smith. Next up on the card, we've got Thiago Moises versus Trey Ogden. This fight's gonna be good, but here's what I like the most in this situation. I like the training partners. Moises has now, I believe, gone and started training a little bit with the Fighting Nerds and putting in some time over there. Ogden is a good fighter, and he is coming off of a win against Loic Radzhabov, which is not a bad win. I'll give you credit there. He's had some tough matchups. He did beat Daniel Zellhuber, who I think pretty highly of. But in this particular matchup, I'm going Moises. I think he's got it. I don't think it was a bad win. He's coming off of a loss in his last matchup against Ludovic Klein by unanimous decision. I think he just kind of wore out, and I think that that's going to be something that he's recognized, and I think this is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, if he overcommits to getting Ogden out of there early, I could see this changing later on and be in the same situation as it happened with Klein. But Thiago Moises he's very dangerous everywhere this could go. On the ground, standing, he's a good striker. I think he's a better striker than Ogden as well. So if it does end up staying on the feet, I think he's going to be able to get it done there. And like I said, I like the training partners. I like who he's with right now. And I like American Top Team and the Fighting Nerds. I like both those training camps. I think you've got the best of both worlds there. So I'm going to go with Thiago in this one. Hope he gets it done. As of right now, I don't have a bet, but I might have just talked myself into some shit. If Trey Ogden, if that line continues to move the other way, I think this is a matchup that Moises is just the more talented fighter, and I think he gets it done. But on to the next. And if you haven't already, this would be a great time to pause, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, give us a comment, let us know, am I on the right track here with some of these picks you think? What are you picking? How you think some of these matchups are going to play out? Love to hear from you guys. I love the MMA community. I think it's the best out there. And obviously, I cannot wait until Saturday till these fights come on. I am considering doing a live, so those have been fun every time I've done those. Looking to continue that, but we're moving right along to this next matchup. Marco Tulio taking on Ihor Potieria. I'm going Marco Tulio in this. After watching the tape, I just can't trust Potieria. I can't trust him to come out and be the better, more intelligent fighter in this. I like what I see in Tulio. He can get a little bit dangerous, but I just think overall, I think everywhere this could go, he's got more ways to get this done. Obviously, the odds are showing that as well. When you put him at minus 500, you're basically telling everybody that you feel pretty confident that he obviously has multiple ways to win this matchup. I think he's the quicker striker. I think he's going to be I think he's going to put more pressure on. And Potieria tends to get in those when the pressure does get put on him. He tends to stand there and kind of bang a little bit more. And I think Tulio is a little bit more intelligent striker when it comes to that. And he's always got the takedowns that he can just go to immediately, get in on the takedowns. I think he can take a shot even if he does get hit by Potieria. I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I think Tulio can control it on the ground. I think anywhere this goes, if it stays standing, I think he's going to get the knockout. If it goes to the ground, I think he can get the sub. Either way, I don't see this going the distance. I think one of these guys is going down. My pick is going to be up for Tulio in this one. Simple enough, but I might put something, if we get to it, I might put something, into him getting a finish in this. Marco Tulio by finish, I think is definite possibility. All right, let's get stupid. Here it is. This might be the height of my stupidity tonight or on Saturday night, but we got Jose Johnson taking on Felipe Bunes or Bunes, however you want to say that. I'm going Felipe. I went back and forth. I fucking picked Bunes. I don't know if it's Bunes or I can't remember if they said it Bunes or Bunes. I'm gonna go Bunes. So Felipe Bunes. Man, I liked what I saw in his last fight. Okay, I know that he lost, and I know that he ended up losing by ground and pound. But listen, we're seeing that Josh Van is a pretty talented fighter in the UFC so far. So I go a lot sometimes by vibe, and I will go further on this. After I see these weigh-ins, I'm going to see a lot more, and I'll have a definite vibe on this. But as of right now, I'm going to go with Bunes to get this done. I feel like his last fight, even though he did get finished by Van, he landed some clean strikes. He looked like the faster fighter. He just could not keep it up. And I'm not sure in this one that he's not going to be the faster fighter again against Johnson. Johnson's good. I do really like Johnson. And at first I picked Bunes, and then I went back to Johnson, and then I've gone back to Bunes again. I know there's a size advantage here, 5'7" to 6 feet. I get it, but the reach advantage is not that bad. The reach advantage, only a half an inch advantage for Johnson. So, and just seeing I think that Bunes or Bunes or Bunes, however you say that, is, I'll just go Felipe. How about that? Felipe is, in my opinion, I think he is the better fighter in this one. And at plus 160? Plus 160? Yeah, I'll take a shot. That'll be probably, as of right now, unless something changes my mind at weigh-ins, I'm going to pick Felipe in this one. I think he can get it done with the striking. If it stands, I think he's going to be the cleaner striker. If it goes to the ground, I think he's got submissions that he is well-versed in, and I think he could possibly get it done on the ground or just take it to decision. So anyway this falls, as of right now, unless I get a different read on it, which I may come up with an update. I'm kind of putting this out a little bit later because there were some changes, and the fight being so far out, I didn't want to waste my time breaking down some of these because I knew that there was going to be at least one of these that would drop out. So here we are. This pick is going to be Felipe Bunes. I'm getting him at plus odds. So he's, as of right now, I will be honest, I have not put in this bet yet. If I see it start to drastically go the opposite direction, I think it is, I might actually take a flyer on it if it goes up even further, which there's a slight possibility it could. So I'm holding off, but I may put something in then, but I'm going to go with Felipe in this. I think he can get it done. All right, next up, Punahele Soriano and Uros Medic. Right off the bat, this was one of my favorite picks of the night, and I kind of do understand the odds, but I kind of don't understand the odds. I think Uros Medic is a bad matchup for Punahele Soriano. When you look at Soriano's other matchups that he's faced, one, I know that he trains at Extreme Couture, which obviously more of a wrestling-based gym. So you would assume that he's got this huge takedown history. He really doesn't. I know that in his last matchup, he definitely implemented takedowns a lot more against Miguel Baega, which maybe that's going to be the method that he uses and has in this game plan as well. It's very possible. Medic is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I believe. And this is one of those that I think his style, Medic's style, the way his movement is, you look at the people that Soriano has lost to. He lost to Nick Maximov, which was more takedown based. Maximov just got takedown after takedown. He won against Dalcha Lungiambula, but he is a power puncher. He will stand in the fire and throw. He obviously did get finished in that one, or he finished him in that one. But then he lost to Roman Kopylov, which Roman Kopylov's game is he's good at takedown defense. He's good on the ground. He can stand back up when he's taken down if it gets to that. And he has good movement on the feet as far as his kickboxing. He's a highly skilled kickboxer. A la Uros Medic. Okay, his other match, Dustin Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus is good kind of everywhere. He's not the greatest kickboxer, but he's got skills on the feet. And he wasn't able to dispatch him. He ended up losing by rear naked choke. Medic, I think, has more ways to win in this matchup, and I think the movement's going to be there. I don't think that Punahele Soriano, even if he does get it to the ground, I'm not sure he's going to be able to keep it on the ground. Just because you train at a wrestling gym doesn't mean that you're the greatest wrestler, and you haven't done it a lot so far in the UFC. So as far as this matchup goes, I like Uros Medic. I have held off on betting it. I should have actually bet it earlier because I've been confident from the very get-go. But here recently, I've also been fucking those picks up a little bit where I feel highly confident they get it done. And then next thing you know, that's the one that fucks up my parlay. So I was holding off a little bit. I think that I might have a bet for you in just a couple minutes that involves Medic, but I can't remember if I've already put it in or if I'm getting ready to put it in. But either way, we'll do another betting breakdown. But Uros Medic is going to be the pick in this, and the odds are not bad. He's under minus 200 right at this point. And like I said, he's got multiple ways to win this matchup. I think he can get it done. I would say my bet in this might focus around that Medic by submission or decision in this one again. I think he gets it done, and I think those are one of the two ways that he's going to get it done. So that may be the single bet that I use in that. Let's get stupid and move on to the next one. Make sense? All right, next up, we have a featherweight matchup between Christian Rodriguez and the UFC debut of Austin Bashi. I'm very interested to see how Bashi does in this one. I know that Christian Rodriguez has fought the higher level competition, but I feel like the UFC is putting Bashi in a great position with this one. I think he's going to have the gas tank in this. I think he's going to be more powerful. Christian Rodriguez, ever since he beat Isaac Dulgarian in that matchup, when I think that was a complete fucking robbery. I'm still pissed about it because that was bullshit. I think whoever that judge was should be fucking fired. That was a bullshit decision. Dulgarian definitely won all of those, maybe like other than like 2 minutes of the fucking round, which you're going to give that to Christian Rodriguez. Okay. I think karma is a bitch. And I hope that Bashi just comes in and fucking puts this dude out. But either way, I don't care if he chokes him out. I don't care if he fucking knocks him out, whatever. I just hope he gets it done. Bashi, I'm on your side. Therefore, you are definitely my pick. I'm not picking Christian Rodriguez. I think, like I said, that bullshit where you get handed a win like that shit pisses me off sometimes. And in this case, I had a lot of bets on Dulgarian that night, and it really does irritate the shit out of me that happened. So, yeah, I'm going with Bashi. Okay, next up we have Chris Curtis taking on Roman Kopylov. I like this matchup, not because Chris Curtis is in it, but because Roman Kopylov is. I like him. Not a fan of Chris Curtis. I think he's the non-action man. That whole like shelling up, like the Sean Strickland style. Obviously, you can tell who you train with. The jab, the low volume of punches that you throw out. I think this is a perfect matchup for Kopylov. You don't see Chris Curtis threatening takedowns. So basically, you're left with either Kopylov getting a takedown, which I don't think he's going to have to go for it. I think this is going to be a stand-up match. And when you're talking about a stand-up match between Roman Kopylov and Chris Curtis, Kopylov is a highly skilled kickboxer, and I think that he's got way more. I think he's going to be the faster opponent. I think he's going to have the movement advantage. I think he's going to really frustrate Chris Curtis, and I think he's going to throw wild punches. I think this could be one of those that you see him miss a lot on like little short jabs. I think you're going to see one thing that I know about Chris Curtis is I can't trust him to do what needs to be done in order to get every fight finished and get it done. And he's the older fighter, obviously. I think Kopylov is going to have a speed advantage. I think he is a better kickboxer. And I do think that if Chris Curtis does overcommit on a couple of punches, Kopylov can get him down to the ground and possibly take his back. And I can see a submission in this, but I'm not going to call that one. I think it's just tailor-made for Kopylov to get this done. I would call this probably a decision win if it's going I think it could go the distance. Kopylov is going to throw some dangerous kicks. He's always game to do that. You know what you're going to get with Kopylov. I think he's going to throw some pretty powerful kicks. Leg kicks are going to be there, body kicks. Kopylov is going to get this done by decision. I'm going Roman Kopylov. I will have him in some type of parlay, I'm sure. I like these two-piece parlays a lot, whether it's over in rounds or teaming it up with something a little bit less sure with something I feel more confident with. And not saying that this is the most confident pick that I would have all night, but I think Kopylov is just better wherever this could go. So Kopylov is the pick here. All right. In the next fight, we have Abdul Razak Al-Hassan taking on Cesar Almeida. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going Razak Al-Hassan in this one. Listen, I think when it comes to MMA experience, I think he's got more ways to win. If he gets to the ground, I think he's going to be able to control Almeida on the ground. I don't think it's going to be easy to get him to the ground, but there is also going to be that thought that there might be the ability for him to control it along the cage a little bit more with the grappling. And we also know that he is, I believe he's got the judo throws behind him as well. He's very powerful and explosive when he wants to get it to the ground. And it all depends on what your game plan is in this. If you want to stand there and bang with Cesar Almeida, that's probably not going to be your method. But this is an MMA fight, and the wins that you've had so far for Almeida in the, when you're going the distance with Potera and you're a kickboxer, that makes me pause. You lost to Kopylov, which that's a well-rounded fighter. I think Razak Al-Hassan is a little bit more well-rounded. And, for somebody who your wins, Dylan Budka, who I don't even know if he's in the UFC anymore. We've got Lucas Fernando, which was your Contender Series match, and Ihor Potieria. You lost to Roman Kopylov when that was your step up in competition, and you didn't get it done there. Not saying that Al-Hassan is better than Kopylov, but I think it's another tough matchup for him, and I don't think it's one that favors. If he gets to the ground, he looks like he is not as skilled. And, these guys are not too far apart in age. 3 years is not that big of a difference as far as age goes. And a plus 240 underdog for Al-Hassan, yeah, I'll take him as my underdog. I'll definitely put a little bit of a sprinkle on him. Because I think it's one that he definitely has the opportunity to get it done. And, weird shit always happens. It's fighting. And he could definitely land a big punch at the same time. If they get in a firefight, he's got a decent chin. It's not terrible. He's taken shots from Joe Pyfer before, and I've seen him stand there with him. He didn't lose by knockout to Pyfer. He lost by submission. So unless Almeida somehow comes up with some submission specialist, that's not a worry. So right there, pick your poison. I say Al-Hassan has what it takes to get this done. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be a finish, but I think he can get it done. If it's control time, if it's possible, just in judges' favor, knocking him out, getting some better strikes in, the more damage, whatever. I feel like this is one of those that's a little bit too wide for me to trust that Almeida has made such a big jump that he's even though Al-Hassan isn't the greatest in that division, I think he's not terrible, and he's got some big names on his resume. So the pick is going to be Al-Hassan in this, and I know it's not a very popular pick right now, but we'll see how it turns out. Next up, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Carlston Harris. I'm going Ponzinibbio in this. I think he is. I'm going on based on more UFC experience, honestly. I still think he's a very skilled fighter, and I think him coming off the two losses, I kind of like that just for the simple fact that I think he's going to be more motivated. Not that Harris isn't, but coming off a knockout by Chaos Williams, I kind of, that always can worry you when somebody's coming off a knockout. Muslim Salikov being his split decision that he lost to the last time, I'm not even sure that he lost that fight necessarily. I think that could have been either way there, especially. And I think I can't remember completely, but I think I had that Ponzinibbio in that fight. And then losing to Kevin Holland, a win against Alex Morono where you knocked him out. I did not expect that one. And then losing to Michel Pereira, not terrible. And then losing to Jeff Neal, also not terrible here. He is most of the time going to decision in his matchups. So it's not like he's getting finished in these matchups. And I think with Harris, it's kind of one or the other. Either you get finished or you finish your opponent. I'm not sure he can finish Ponzinibbio, and I think Ponzinibbio has the movement still. That neither one of these guys are what I consider speed demons when you're talking about their striking. But I'm not sure Ponzinibbio will have to get it to the ground. I think the movement and just outstriking Harris is going to be enough. I know that Harris can come in wild. He can come in like a madman, and he could definitely get it done. But I'm not sure that you're going to be able to get Ponzinibbio down, and I'm not sure that you're going to be able to keep him down if you do. So in this particular instance, I think that Ponzinibbio is going to be the more experienced, higher IQ fighter, and I think he's going to find a way to get this done Probably going to go the distance on this one as well, but my pick is going to be Ponzinibbio. He actually has gone from, I believe he was a favorite at first when these odds dropped, and then he went to underdog, and now it went to pick'em, and I believe that he is back as the slight favorite now. So I'm kind of going to wait on this because I think as it gets closer, people are going to start hitting Harris again. I think it's going to move Ponzinibbio possibly back in the positive as an underdog again. So I'm kind of waiting around. If it starts going the opposite way, I may put him in a parlay, may put him in a two-piece. I love the two pieces, I'm usually pretty successful on calling those. If I can pick those right, I like to hammer them. But Ponzinibbio is definite piece to look at, even for a single bet. I might put a single bet on him as well. Like I said, we're getting stupid this weekend, so here we fucking go. On to the main event. All right, here we go. Main event time. Mackenzie Dern taking on Amanda Ribas for the second time. In their previous matchup, which was about 5 years ago, Ribas did win that by unanimous decision. Things have changed, though. Mackenzie Dern has obviously gained more experience in the octagon. That was very early in her UFC career. So I don't know how much you can actually put in that. But here's what I do know. Ribas, I believe, is going to be the bigger fighter in this matchup. And obviously, I've already talked about the size difference in women's fights. And when you look at these two fighters, Ribas, to me, is definitely the more skilled striker between the two. If I had to pick one, I'm going with Ribas. If it's a stand-up fight, Ribas has got it all day. I think she's faster. I think she's more dangerous on the feet. I think she can point Mackenzie Dern all day. I don't think it's going to be a finish in this fight. If the only thing that I think could possibly happen, and if a finish happens, I think it will be Dern getting the submission finish. But I think Ribas is more skilled on the ground. I don't think she's going to be putting herself in bad positions against Dern, and I don't even know that Dern's going to be able to get it to the ground. Dern has not been very successful in her UFC career getting fights to the ground in order to implement her ground game, which that is top level. But I'm not sure that Ribas is that far behind. She's obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu trained. She knows the ways of that skill set. So I'm not sure that I think those two probably would equal out. I think the only difference is that Dern is more accomplished in that realm because she's entered more contests. I don't know that that's necessarily been the focus for Ribas, but I'm going to pick Amanda Ribas in this one. I think she gets it done. I think this is going to be the same decision win for her. Either way, I believe that this would be one that you could bet the over 4.5 or the goes to decision, and I think it's going to be a pretty safe bet. That's what I would look more towards. Obviously, I love alternate lines, which you can get those too. So maybe you want to move that down to over 2.5, over 3.5. See what you get there. Put that in as a parlay piece. I think you're safe there. But my pick is going to be Amanda Ribas. So now that we've gone through the whole breakdown of the entire card, I'm going to give you just a couple of my beginning bets. And like I said, I'm going to come on here later on in the week, probably the night after I've gone through everything and looked at the weigh-ins. I like to wait until some of those weigh-ins, until some of these lines drop. If lines drop immediately tomorrow, I may come on and do some shorts, put those up there and give you some more of the bets. But the bets that I have for now. Okay, so short and sweet as of right now. I told you that I'm only doing short parlays right now, and then other bets will be coming in soon, but those are going to be ones that I'm focusing more on outcomes of fights. We're going to see what I can figure out on the outcomes, and I'll obviously put together some parlays for those, but I went pretty light right now. Right now, as far as the FanDuel account, what I'm doing is one unit is basically $20 in that one, so I'm not going heavy on these again. I'm kind of waiting to see some of these lines because I'm more interested in putting in some of my other bets right now. Even if they are parlays, I'll get more heavy in the parlays when they come up closer to the fights. Again, I don't give a shit too much if I'm getting the, just slight better odds, because obviously not making a huge difference unless I'm betting a ton of money on something. And then, you obviously want to get more bang for your buck. But if you're not putting in too much on some of these bets, which, like I said, we're getting mildly crazy for right now, and then we'll get a little bit heavier as we get closer to the fights. But right now, my 2-leg first parlay that I've got is going to be Aliyev money line and Medic money line over on FanDuel. We got this at -121. I did only put a unit on this, and it's obviously not even going to return a full unit. But like I said, we're going to put in quite a few bets, and some of these bets will be heavier. Units on this as of right now, unless I change something up, they're going to be $20 units in FanDuel, and then I'll probably do $25 units in DraftKings when that comes up. And that leads me to my other parlay. So right now in FanDuel, we've got Aliyev money line and Medic money line, -121 on FanDuel. And then other one, simple one, Jacoby Smith money line and Austin Bashi money line. DraftKings -133. I did put that one in for a 2-unit play. It's almost what I would consider my my most prominent play out of these two. I know Jacoby Smith is coming in on short notice, and yeah, it could blow up in my fucking face, and we're gonna hope that it doesn't. But I think that both these guys can get it done. Obviously, I'm highly against Christian Rodriguez for the bullshit win that he got against Isaac Dulgarian. Sorry to Isaac Dulgarian, you got ripped off that night, but I think it's going to be karma coming back to him. Bashi gets it done in this one, and Jacoby Smith, I just think he's going to be the more durable fighter. I think he's going to be the better one, and I think he's going to be very, very hungry to get that first UFC win. And I see, obviously, was already picking against Preston Parsons in that one, so I'm going to continue with that. And I'm just going to go Jacoby Smith. We're going to put him together, a 2-unit play there, -133. I know I'm not getting huge returns on these, but if we hit, we get returns. That's the only thing that matters. You get your money back. Plus, and then keep building your bankroll. That's what I'm all about. That is my breakdown for this full card, Dern versus Ribas 2. I will come back when we get these weigh-ins done, and if I come up with other bets, I'll put them out as shorts, let you know what I'm doing as soon as I possibly can to make sure that you can hit those as soon as possible. But until next time, I will see you soon. I'm so happy the UFC is back. Let's go. Ready for the weekend. Keep balling, people. If you didn't already, hit the like and subscribe. Let this page grow. Keep this page growing. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think of these picks, and I will see you soon. Peace out.